I'm going to bring our featured speaker today up to the stage after I introduce him. This is Durk Peterson. I met Durk at an AGC event a couple of months ago, and he was privileged to work as a Lutheran pastor serving congregations in Maple Grove, Bloomington, Hopkins, and Brooklyn Center. But after many years, he left his congregation and began working at Thrivent as a financial professional, working with financial planning, investments, insurance, and managed accounts. He's married, lives in Carver, Minnesota, has 2 adult children. He serves as president of the Carver Lions Club and as an ambassador for the Southwest Metro Chamber of Commerce. Do we have a couple of Southwest Metro Chamber members in here? Jake, you're one of them. If you aren't able to find Durk in his office, you might find him on the golf course, riding his bike, or taking in one of the beautiful breweries in the western suburbs with his friends. Let's welcome Durk to the AGC stage.
Thank you very much, Amy. Nice to see all of you here tonight. Hope you had some goodies and some good refreshments. I want to begin tonight just a word of thanks to Travis. I know he's not here tonight, but for putting together AGC. It's a great organization. And to Amy for inviting me to speak. And how many of you know Lynn Lawman? Lynn's been a photographer for AGC. So Lynn and I were in the Southwest Metro Chamber together and had an appointment together, and pretty soon we're Facebook friends, and she starts throwing out this AGC ad, and one day I said, Lynn, what is AGC all about? And all she did was smile and say, check it out. So I'd encourage all of you, if have a chance, through coworkers, friends, just to say, check it out. It's great networking, great way to grow your business, and great way to support each other in our businesses. So tonight I want to spend a few minutes with you talking about the journey. Talking about your personal journey, talking about your journey in business. And journeys, as you know, you usually have a plan and a destination. So think for a moment, where do you want your business to go? What direction do you want your business to go in? And think about your life, personally, where do you want to go? What's your goal? And do you have a plan to get there? Now, the thing about journeys is, as you probably know, journeys are filled with ups and downs, twists and turns, surprises, moments of amazement, deep joy, and deep sadness. The journey is always interesting, and I don't know about you, but I like to control things. And that's when, I always say, that's when God laughs. You know, I got a plan, it's like, oh, you do? Okay, let's see how that works out for you. Because sometimes the plan just does not go as you planned, pun intended, and you end up switching directions and changing things up. So I want you to just ask yourself where you're in your journey in terms of your personal life and also business. And right now with your business, would you say things are smooth? Would you say things are profitable, active? Are you struggling and you're not telling anyone about your struggle? Is it really a tough time for you? You know, one thing about this group is I found people I meet are authentic and not here to sort of put on a show. Like, life is wonderful. I hope life is wonderful, but you know, we have to be real, and it's important to be able to share your journey. So think about ways in your business when you can share in an authentic way what you've been through or your challenges. Because it's not all about you and your business, of course, but by sharing that story, you might open a door. Someone might be able to relate to you like, oh, this person's real. I kind of like that. I want to talk to this person. I want to do business with this person. Are you also, as you look at yourself, are you confident? Are you fearful? One thing I'll say at the end, and I'm going to say right now, is you are not alone, because we have each other networking, and you have a chance to support each other in your businesses. So those days when you're down in your basement, we've all been there, I've been there, you're in your basement, and you're thinking, this is me alone, and you realize you feel like that, but you know there are other people around you can draw on and work with. Well, prior to becoming a financial advisor at Thrivent, I was privileged to serve as a pastor, as Amy mentioned. Actually, first congregations were in Iowa, so no Iowa jokes tonight. There are a lot of them. I was down in Burlington, and how many of you have been to Burlington, Iowa? Anyone? How many of you have heard of Burlington, Iowa? It's just north of Keokuk. And no one's ever heard of Keokuk. And then the second congregation was in Cedar Rapids, and I almost got fired my first call because I got the Cyclones and Hawkeyes mixed up. I was in Hawkeye territory. I said, "So what time the Cyclones playing today?" "He's out." No, I'm just kidding, but it really did happen. Anyway, then I went to other calls, but basically I had a chance to walk with people spiritually and also with congregational leadership. In walking with people spiritually, you can imagine there are times when people would be very confident in their faith, times when people despaired, had a lot of doubts, a lot of questions, and just a lot of struggles. But it's a privilege to walk alongside and to guide people through their journey. I worked with just one quick example. I have a lot of stories, but I have 15 minutes. So Sharon is a middle-aged woman. Her kids are off to college. She comes in my office one day and she says, "Pastor, I want to get serious about my spiritual development. What do you have for me?" Well, I've got 582 books. Not that I count them every day, but I do have 582 books. So I gave her some resources. 2 weeks later, she came back. She threw her hands up. She said, "I quit. I can't take all this on. It's overwhelming. I mean, I got to pray. I got to go to church. I got to read my Bible. I got to serve. How am I going to do all this?" So finally I said, "Let's do it one step at a time. One step, try this. 10 minutes of meditation or prayer in the morning. That's it. That's it. Come back to me in a month." Month she came back, she said, "I did it, and now I'm for the next step. Ready for it." So think about that in terms of your life and work. When you look at a project, it can be overwhelming until you start, and usually just, half the battle is just starting. But ask yourself, what's that one small step you can take? One small step in your business, one small step in your life to make a difference and to move ahead. In my service as a pastor, I also worked in church leadership, and I worked with a lot of very gifted people, did a lot of strategic planning and visioning. And what I found was a lot of churches I'd worked with had already done plans. I said, well, I came into a new church and said, where's your strategic plan? Crickets. It's on the shelf. They'd gone through a year of planning, 65-page document on the shelf because it hadn't been executed. But it was one really important step. The next step, of course, was taking that off, dusting it off, updating it, and moving ahead with the plan. But in my work with churches, I've always tried to build on their strengths and say, what are you doing well, and how can we build on that? Let's not focus on and kvetch about what we're not doing well. Let's talk about what's going well, what's positive. So it was filled with, the big question was always, will we have enough financial resources to implement the vision? Always a struggle. And for business owners, it's always cash flow. How am I going to live next month? How's the cash flow looking? Will there be enough resources for me? So that was one big question. The other thing was politics. Do you want to talk politics tonight? I don't. And I'm not going to. But in church, of course, there, like any organization, you have politics. I had 3 churches with 2,000 to 3,000 members, which meant I had 2,000 to 3,000 bosses. Think about that. And whether you're in church or not, you have 2,000 or 3,000 different opinions of what a pastor should be. So you're continually navigating that field. So we had a council meeting, and one night we had a big decision to make on a building project. One of our council members, we paused, said, I think God wants us to build next year. Right across the table, another member said, well, I think God wants us to build now. So who speaks for God? That was a big discussion. When you start bringing God into the picture, using God as ammo for your agenda, watch out, because it can get a little tricky. Anyway, the first goal was to pull off a plan and building. That went well, and we succeeded with that. So what about you tonight? If you look again at your business and the journey, think about the twists and the turns we've had this last year. We've all had them, right? We've had to adjust, be quick on our feet. I have one client who has a business in Chanhassen, and I won't say the name of I won't say it. I'll say it's a hockey business, and hockey people already know what the business is, but anyway, they had to shut down, and suddenly pivoted to mail order and kept the business going. But the owner said it was incredibly frustrating because their old business model was like almost out the window. And suddenly here they are succeeding and adjusting to a new climate. So think for a moment about your surprises, the setbacks, the unwelcome and the welcome times of business for you this last year. How many of you have heard of Eric Thurwanger? I like saying that because I like to say Thurwanger, but some of you have been to his events. He's a speaker and author. I've heard him on numerous occasions now, and one of his questions is he'll talk to business owners, he'll talk about leadership. And he'll say, how many of you think that people are the most valuable asset in your business? And everyone's hand goes up. How many of you think that leadership for all the people in your business is extremely important? All the hands went up. How many of you are actually conducting leadership training? Silence. So he talks about leadership development, taking that one step to improve your business in that way. Now, working as a financial advisor, I get to walk along clients in their financial journey. I am able to offer some guidance, offer a plan perhaps, offer solutions for their financial situation. One thing I can't do, and those of you among us who are financial advisors know, you can't guarantee riches. You know, Bernie Madoff did that. And you know where Bernie Madoff ended up. Some of you don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're highly regulated, so we can't make those promises or guarantees of returns. But it's really interesting just to help people take that one step and the next step in their journey. And for all of you in business, oftentimes you have to guide and lead people through a process, right? It's not like it just happens, you snap your fingers and the deal's done. It's a process, and you have to engage your client and guide them through with your leadership. One quick example, working with a young couple, they just bought their new first home. Very excited, just beautiful home, and they were able to put down money for down payment. They had protection in place, they had investments, great benefits for their job, but their savings was kind of low. So all I said was, all I can do for you is just say, let's get a budget, build your savings up, 3 to 6 months. So to do that, I said, let's track your expenses. So we looked at income and expenses, and for the previous year, they had $10,000 unaccounted for. Now this happens all the time. So my question was, where did that money go? So for the next 2 months, I had them track their expenses, and they were a little surprised because all the things added up, such as eating out, buying clothes, a lot of shoes, a lot of entertainment, festivals, and online shopping. The money was gone. And so now they know where the money's going. Does anyone have that problem here? Should start a support group? Anyway, it was just one small step that they were able to take to make a big difference. Another thing is when you talked about sharing your journey can open a door. Now, when I sit down with clients, and I'm sure when you talk to people at certain times, there are hard subjects. And sometimes people are as reluctant to talk about money as they are their sex life. Sometimes it's very private. And to have that relationship, to somebody open up and talk about their financials, or for you to talk about, what their credit is or what their history is in business, you have to have that door open up somehow. So one of my clients that I just mentioned took the one step to improve his business and adapt. And part of the journey is adapting. How many of you have ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese? By Spencer, I forget his last name.
Johnson.
Thank you. So it's a story about two mice. They each have cheese. The one loses the cheese. They both lose the cheese. The one goes after new cheese, and the other one just sits and complains. Where did my cheese go? Where did my cheese go? So if you talk about your business in a setback or a journey, and you suddenly have a challenge, do you look forward and seize that next opportunity without looking backwards? So I want you to think about your journey of life and your journey of business, and be transparent, be authentic, be real with your clients or your customers. Let them know of your struggles along the way, and hopefully that will help open the door. And remember that one small step. So tonight, to begin with, I'm just getting warmed up. So, Think about the one small step you're going to take in your life and or the one small step you're going to take in business. Write it down tonight, share it with a friend tomorrow morning, and check in a week later. That's it. Thank you very much.